Alright, welcome to our next video where we're going to be working with proportions. This time our goal is to be able to know how to use proportions with similar figures, so shapes of some sort. People to poles, buildings to models, stuff like that. Go ahead and write this down along with today's date and page number before moving on. Alright, here's your warm-up. You got 4 proportions you need to solve for. Go ahead and solve for them. Come back when you're done. We'll see if you got the right answer. Bigger numbers with your warm-up, but probably found them to be not too difficult once you started dividing. So here are the answers you should have gotten. Hopefully you got the same answers as I did. If you did, come give me a high five and show me your work to prove that you did do your work to solve these problems. All right, so let's write down our definition of what an indirect measurement is, since I put that in our goal. One way to find the height that you cannot measure directly is to use similar figures and proportions. We call that indirect measurement. So if you don't know how tall something is, but you can be able to figure it out by maybe the height of something else and the shadow that it casts, you'd be able to figure out pretty accurately how tall that item is. Let's show you in example 1. So here you can see we have a person and a tree. The person and the tree are both different heights, and they both have different shadows, but they do have similar figures. So by using indirect measurement, we should be able to figure it out. So we have to create a proportion. The proportion will be similar sides to similar sides. So the first similar sides we're looking at is the height of the person, which is 6 feet tall. Kind of block that out there. And the height of the tree, which is 8. So that's how we get our first proportion of 6 to h. Then we have the shadows that are cast by the person. You got to go in the same order. If we did the person on the top on the left, you got to do the person on the top as well in the next proportion of 2 to 7 feet tall. So once you have their proportion written out, the second step is to do cross product. So 6 times 7 and h times 2. 6 times 7 is 42. H times 2 is 2h. So now to solve for the variable, we have to divide both sides by that coefficient of 2 that will undo the multiplication. You're left with h, and 2 goes into 42 21 times. So the height of this tree would be 21 feet tall. Copy this problem down before moving on. Let's take a look at one more. So again, we have a person and a tree, and we're trying to solve this time for how tall that tree is. Same person, 6 feet tall, a little bit longer in the day, and you can see the shadow is 3 feet long. So this tree, we don't know the height, but we do know that it casts a shadow from the middle of its trunk to the end of the shadow of 9 feet. So if we write our proportion as the first step, we have 6 over h, because those are similar sides, equaling 3 over 9, which are similar sides. So now we cross product. That's the second step. We cross multiply. 3 times h is 3h, and 6 times 9 is 54. So to undo the multiplication you see, we're going to divide the inverse operation. And when you divide 3 by 3, you get h. And when you divide 54 by 3, you get 18. So this tree is 18 feet tall. So just to show you another example. All right. And here are 2 problems I want you to try on your own. The first one has a picture already drawn for you. We have a lamppost. We have no idea how tall it is, but we have another post here that's 6 feet tall. That casts a shadow of 4 feet. We may not know the height of the lamppost, but we know it casts a shadow of 12 feet. So go ahead and solve that problem, along with number 4, which is looking at the Eiffel Tower. So I'm going to draw the Eiffel Tower for you. Something like that. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So the Eiffel Tower casts a shadow that is 328 feet long. And a person standing next to the Eiffel Tower, who is 6 feet tall, I'll give them arms. They're 6 feet tall. They cast a shadow that is 2 feet in length. So what we need to know is how tall is the Eiffel Tower. Let's call it E for Eiffel. So go ahead and come back when you found the height of the lamppost and the height of the Eiffel Tower. Make sure you're showing your work so you don't make any mistakes. And I hope you found that the Height of the lamppost is 18 feet, and the height of the Eiffel Tower is 984 feet. So if you showed your work like I did, you'll be able to see what's going on here, and that's how you get the answers. If you're still struggling, make sure you come see me. I got extra problems. All right, let's look at example 2 using word problems. So here's a problem that talks about the rocket ship. So a rocket casts a 91.5-foot shadow, and a model, 4-foot model rocket casts a 3-foot shadow. How tall is the rocket? So I would only be able to solve this if I drew a picture like I did. From there, then, it's the same operation as example 1's problems. Create a proportion. Man's Steve Howley Solo. What? Okay. You're going to go ahead and create a proportion of heights by heights and widths by widths. So h over 4 for the heights of the rocket ship and the model, and 91.5 over 3 to show the lengths of the shadows. Cross multiply, and you find that you get h times 3, which is 3h. 91.5 times 4 isn't too hard. You get 366. So then you just have to divide both sides by 3 to get h alone. And you find that 3 goes into 366 122 times. So a rocket that is 122 feet tall is the one that's going to cast a shadow. That's 91.5 feet. So go ahead and copy this down if you need. And then we're going to show you one more example. So here's another example for you to look at. It says a building casts a shadow that's 72.5 feet long. If you had a 4-foot model of the building, which I don't know why you would, but if you did, and you see that it's 2 feet long with its shadow, how can you go ahead and find out the height of the building? Guess what? You create a proportion. Height to height, which is h to 4, and then its shadow, 72.5 to 2, so 72.5 divided by 2, and then cross multiply. 2 times h is 2, h, and 4 times 72.5 is 290. And then all you got to do is divide both sides by 2 to get h alone. You find that the building is 145 feet tall. That's all there is. All right, let's get you some problems to do on your own. So I'm going to ask you to do one problem on this page, and it's a word problem. The others are there in case we need extra practice. And you can always come see me, and we can do those extra practices if you want, like 5 and 6 to get you prepared for 7. But 7's the one I want you to do. Okay, you may need to draw a picture if possible to create your proportion. If not, just go ahead and create your proportion and solve. Find out how tall that statue is. All right, so you should have found that the statue casts a shadow that is 120 feet, or the shadow cast is 120, not feet. I made a mistake there, and you probably caught it already. 120 meters tall. 120 meters tall for this statue. All right, let's move on. Here we are with the box of thought. Got 2 problems that you need to be able to explain, showing me your understanding of indirect measurement. And here is your quiz. 2 problems. First one, you're looking at the picture. The second one, you may have to draw a picture to be able to solve it. And that's it for today's lesson. Hopefully you did well. I hope you showed your work, because that's the only way you're going to double check your stuff before you submit an answer. We'll see you next time.